everyone dependent on government in some way or another. If they can crash the economy, they can force a lot more people onto the government rolls. So let me tell you some ways that they're absolutely throwing our money down the toilet, and you tell me if you don't believe that they're actually trying to crash our economy. And I've got some stats here. Listen to these. The National Science Foundation has given $384,000 to Yale University to do a study on sexual conflict, social behavior, the evolution of waterfowl genitalia. Now try not to laugh. But a lot of this research involves examining and measuring the reproductive organs of male ducks. $384,000 for that. The IRS spent $60,000 on a film parody of Star Trek and a film parody of Gilligan's Island. Internal Revenue Service employees were the actors of these two parodies. $60,000. National Institute of Health has given $1.5 million to Brigham and Women's Hospitals in Boston, Massachusetts to study why 3/4 of lesbians in the United States are overweight and why most gay males are not. $1.5 million to study why 3/4 of lesbians in the United States are overweight and why most gay males are not. The National Institute of Health has spent $2.7 million to study why lesbians have more vulnerability to hazardous drinking. U.S. government is giving, and this one kills me, U.S. government is giving 16 F-16 fighter jets, 200 Abrams tanks to the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, even though the new president of Egypt, Morsi, a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, consistently makes this statement: "Dear brothers, we must not forget to nurse our children and grandchildren on hatred toward Zionists and Jews and those that support them." Well, Mr. Obama was just in Israel and gave full support to Israel, at least in words, but still gives these 16 F-16 fighters and 200 Abrams tanks to a government, the Muslim Brotherhood, who says we need to nurse our children and grandchildren on hatred toward those Zionists, Jews, and all who support them. That includes us. Why did we give them this stuff? During 2012, the salaries of Barack Obama's 3 climate change advisors combined came to a grand total of $370,000 a year. Overall, 139 different White House staffers make at least $100,000 during 2012. And there were 20 staffers that made a maximum of $172,000 a year just for being on the president's staff. The U.S. taxpayer spends more than $1.4 billion a year on the Obamas. British taxpayers only spend about $58 million on the entire royal family. We spent $1.4 billion on the Obamas. During 2012, $25,000 of federal money was spent on promotional tours for the Alabama watermelon queen. What? Yeah, I heard you say what? On the watermelon queen. Really, the U.S. government spends $505,000 to promote specialty hair and beauty products for cats and dogs. Is this not throwing money in the toilet? I'm not kidding about these. U.S. government spends $505,000 to promote specialty hair and beauty products for cats and dogs. Check this out. NASA spends close to $1 million a year developing a menu of food for a manned mission to Mars, even though it's being projected that a manned mission to Mars is still decades away. During 2012, federal government spent $15 million to help Russian weapons institutes recruit nuclear scientists. What? $15 million to help Russian weapons institutes recruit nuclear scientists. Over the past 15 years, a total of approximately $5.25 million has been spent on hair care services for the Senate. What? $5.25 million spent on hair care for the Senate? The U.S. government spends $27 million to teach Mohawkins how to design and make pottery. $27 million is... Do any of you remember the $500 hammers and the $1,000 toilet seats? At the time when we have an epidemic of unemployment in the United States, the U.S. Department of Education is spending $1.3 million to reduce linguistic, academic, and employment barriers for skilled and low-skilled immigrants and refugees, and to integrate them into U.S. workforces and professions. Do you like that idea? $1.3 million to lift employment barriers for people who are in this country illegally, breaking our laws, taking our American jobs. Speaking on that, have you heard the Democrats say over and over and over and over and over again how you can't round up 11 million immigrants and send them back? And yeah, that's right. And then they say that self-deportation doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Well, let me give you an example. In 2008, when we had the initial crash, there was a mass exodus of illegals from America. When they say that illegal immigration from Mexico has slowed to a record pace, that's true. They're not coming here like they used to come here. Why is that? Because there's no jobs for them. In 2008, when we had that huge crash, a mass exodus. Illegals going home in record numbers because there was no work. So you see, the idea of the self-deportation does work, and that's the proof. If you take away the draw that they're coming here for, they'll stop coming. If they can't work, they won't come here. If you initiate the system that makes them e-verify every single employee that employers hire with a stiff penalty if they hire the illegals, make it impossible for them to work unless they're here legally, they will go home. They will self-deport. And 2008 proved it. So the Democrats can say anything they want. They can scream all day long till the cows come home that this won't work. But it's already worked. The proof is in the pudding. And the pudding says when there's no jobs, they go home. So what did the government do? The government starts whipping out the millions and millions of dollars to make sure that we can lift the barriers so that these people who are stealing American jobs have an easier time doing it. Talk about wasting some money. The U.S. government is spending approximately $3.6 million a year to support the lavish lifestyles of former presidents like George Bush and Bill Clinton. $3.6 million a year. And these are people who are making millions and millions of dollars on their own without that. During fiscal 2012, the National Science Foundation gave researchers at Purdue University $350,000. They used part of that money to help fund a study to discover that if golfers imagine that a hole is bigger, it'll help them with their putting. Wow! That was vital $350,000. Are they wasting our money? Are they crashing us on purpose? Do you see what's going on here? U.S. government's giving hundreds of millions of dollars to the Pakistan Authority every year. Why? Why have they purchased 2 billion rounds of ammunition in the last 10 months. They say it's for training purposes. You don't use hollow points for training purposes. Look, if they crash our economy, they get everybody on the government roll. If they want to restrict our guns or even try to take them from us, all he has to do is initiate the martial law that comes from the new NDAA bill that he signed, giving him the ability to institute martial law in peace and in trouble. Something's cooking here. There's a combination of things going on here. We need to start connecting these dots of what these people are doing. The National Science Foundation spent $516 million on the creation of video called Prom Week so that it would stimulate social reactions. Did you know that $10,000 of U.S. taxpayer money was used to purchase taking urinal cakes up in Michigan? Really? When Joe Biden and his staff took a trip to London back in February, the hotel bill cost U.S. taxpayers, get this, $459,388,000. What? What? Is that what you're saying? What? When Joe Biden and his staff took a trip to London in February, the hotel bill cost to U.S. taxpayers $459 million. His staff stopped in Paris for one night back in February. The hotel bill for that one night came to $585,000. Currently, there's close to 15,000 retired federal employees who are currently collecting federal pensions from for life worth at least $100,000 annually. Newt Gingrich, Bob Dole, Trent Lott, Dick Gephardt, Dick Cheney. Department of Agriculture spent $300,000 to encourage Americans to eat caviar. I have babbled my way right out of time here, folks. Consider what we've talked about. I think all of these things are right on the verge, my friends. Keep an eye out. On our next program, we're going to explore a little more of what the government's doing to make sure that we crash this economy and that martial law comes about. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Everybody on the Blog Talk Radio Network, the Spreaker Radio Network, those of you on our regular broadcast affiliates across this country through the UK, Australia, thank you so very much to all of you. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you on our next program. Thank you so very much. Professional identity thieves constantly search your information for vulnerabilities. At LifeLock, relentless protection of your identity is their primary mission. They help ensure that you stay ahead of identity thieves. LifeLock is first in the industry to offer proactive identity theft protection. They're level 1 compliant under the payment card industry data security standards. They have direct access to fraud resolution teams within their extensive network of lenders and service providers. They are experts through leadership with internationally recognized experts in privacy and security, technologies, fraud, and criminal methods. They also partnership with FBI law enforcement and the National Organization for Victims Assistance. Sign up today at wdeanshook.com and receive a 30-day free trial and 10% off your final purchase. The W. Dean Shook program has partnered with LifeLock to make sure your identity remains safe and secure, guaranteed. Get your 30-day free trial of LifeLock's industry-leading protection at wdeanshook.com. That's wdeanshook.com. Go
GoDaddy offers everything you need to make